Before we jump into the show, I want to let you guys know that this show is being sponsored by PristineAuction.com. They have hundreds of daily auctions with brand new items every single day. Everything is JSA certified, so you know it's all 100% authentic. It's free to join, it's free to bid, and you only pay when you win. Check out PristineAuction.com and let them know that you heard about them from Sleeper Wire. That's PRISTINE auction.com. Welcome, everybody, to the Sleeper Wire Show. Welcome to the Week 11 Weekend Preview. I am your host, Professor Chris, and once again, I have the great Prophet Hoos with me. How's it going, man?
What is going on, man? We're getting closer to the sad times. It's making me sad.
To the sad times, indeed.
It's making me sad.
Yep. Yeah,
we still got football. We still got some fantasy football to play. We're here.
We do, and yes, we are. Yeah. But hey, we also got Primetime Lucas on the show.
What's going on, boys? Getting close to clinching these playoff berths.
Do you have any leagues where you've clinched yet?
I have two. Yep.
Okay. I have a couple 8-2 teams. No 9-1s, unfortunately. A couple 8-2s, but it's so close nobody's clinched yet.
That's fair. That's fair.
Bunch of competitive leagues.
All right, guys. Before we get into the show, I want to kind of build a fantasy football team here with you guys. And the biggest news of the week, aside from Le'Veon Bell deciding he didn't want to play, he wanted to forfeit all of that money, is the great Stan Lee passing this week, the creator of the Marvel Comics. I want to take a few minutes here and build a Marvel football team with you guys. Sound good?
Sounds amazing. Let's do it.
Right. All right, so at quarterback, we have Captain America. Which quarterback is going to be Captain America?
Captain America. Who are we going with here?
I'm going with Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers.
Yeah, Rodgers sounds like a decent one to me.
I feel like more like a Tom Brady, but
not the way he's playing this season.
No, just the chiseled jaw, just that whole, that
he's Red Skull.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. You're right. You're right.
He's the head of Hydra. So
I'm going Rodgers. I got to go Rodgers here.
Rodgers here.
All right, Rodgers for Captain America. Wide receiver, I think Iron Man, the one who can fly, is probably the best at catching passes. Who is your Iron Man, Hoos?
It's going to be Antonio Brown, I guess. I mean, it's got to be Antonio Brown, right? I mean, he's just the most amazing pass catcher.
Well, he is Mr. Reliable. Honestly, I was going to go Hopkins, but for Iron Man to really embody that, I got to go Brown. Wide receiver 1 4 years in a row. Dude just does not miss time and continuously produces.
For me, I like the swagger of Iron Man, the swagger of Tony Stark, the attitude. Love it. Give me Odell Beckham Jr.
There Tony Stark's Iron Man. All right, I like it. Like it.
Yep, I think
who's
personality lines
just
up.
saying that because he's a Giants fan. But I don't think I could give.
Oh. At running back, we have Thor. Who is going to play Thor for you, Lucas?
I mean, it's Gurley, right? Right, it has to be. It has to be Gurley. Absolutely. Gurley is Thor.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that one.
Yeah. I was going to say Barkley, but yeah, it's got to be Gurley.
Really? You're going to say another Giant?
Yeah, I mean. Hey, man.
Who's wanted to say Eli Manning for Captain America?
Yeah, I bet he did too.
My Giants as well. So I mean, I got to keep something alive here.
Luck would make a good Captain America.
Yeah, I didn't want to make that a homer pick though for me.
That's right. You wanted me to put that out there.
Yeah,
it won't be me.
I appreciate that. He can do like the Generation 2 spinoff. All right. So when they remake the movies the second time. Oh, let's see here. Tight end, the Incredible Hulk. It's got to be Gronk, right?
Kelsey. I'm gonna go Kelsey.
I think I got to go Ertz, and maybe it's because the Eagles are in green, and I already, Kelsey's already Zeus. We don't really have anything going for Ertz yet. I'm going Ertz.
All right, and we do have a flex position, Spider-Man, and for this one, I'm going to take this one first. Tyreek Hill.
Ooh,
I think would be a great Spider-Man.
I was gonna use that guy. He's a flexible guy, you know, in the passing game. He's all over the field. That guy, much like that Spider-Man is all over in the city, slinging web and whatnot. Yeah, I can't disagree with you there since that's what was in my head.
You came up with a good one too, though. For the show, you said Tariq Cohen.
Oh yeah, I did say Tariq Cohen. I did say Tariq Cohen. Yeah, Tariq Cohen. But yeah, I mean, Tariq Hill sounds a tad bit better.
I think I got to throw Alvin Kamara's name in the hat for Spider-Man. I mean, that he does everything. He gets through some out of some sticky situations, you know.
Oh yeah.
All right, so there we go. Quarterback is Captain America, Iron Man for wide receiver, Thor is running back, the Incredible Hulk at tight end, and Spider-Man at the flex position. R.I.P. Stanley, we're going to miss you.
Much love.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this week's show. Another good one for you guys. We have the start sit, the flex those muscles, and the streamer wire segment as usual. Teams on bye this week. Basically the whole AFC East. Bills, Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots. And then we also got the Cleveland Browns and the San Francisco 49ers. Really a bunch of terrible teams on bye.
Teams that are doing terrible. Sure.
Yeah. And it's making for some good matchups this week for sure, though.
That's right. Yeah. That's absolutely right.
We got some fun ones. So prior to Thursday Night Football is when we are recording this. You guys are listening to this on Friday, most likely. The game starts in about 40 minutes. Packers at Seahawks. Guys, what are you hoping for from this game? Or give me one player that you're hoping for big points for.
MVS. I want to see some Marquise Valdez-Scantling go off tonight.
That was mine because I need big points from him.
That would be nice.
What about you, Hoos? Is there any player you need a big game from tonight?
That I need from? I mean, I can go Adams, obviously. I could use that. I got Adams in a ton of leagues. I picked him over so many guys that, you know, that should have, you know, possibly went ahead of him. So, yeah, I gotta go Adams, I guess. You know, I would love to see high receptions, high yardage, and the touchdowns. You know, give me like a good 40-point game from him.
So that basically means that none of us are relying on any Seahawks.
If I can avoid it, no.
Yeah, I mean, the running backs are always, you know, pretty good. I mean,
if you know,
which one's it going to be tonight? Because we got Penny.
Well, Carroll uses both. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see Penny as much. I would like to see Penny. I would really love to see him because I stashed him in quite a bit of teams. But I don't know if we're going to see him. I just don't know if we're going to see him. But I think we can continue to see Mike Davis in the passing game. We didn't see Penny catch any passes last week, so they didn't really use him there. He just kind of seemed like he was more of the Carson backup, if anything. And I think they're just going to rely on Carson. Carson's going to be good.
12 for 108 last week.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I believe that they should give him the rock, but it's Pete Carroll at the end of the day. You know, and one thing he's bad at is giving running backs the ball. You know, good ones. You know, we all know this. So you know, like I don't know if we can rely on him to use Penny, even though he did do so well. But I think you can see Carson and Davis, you know, kind of do, you know, what they've been doing. Davis in the PPR, I wouldn't use him otherwise.
All right, guys, I'm going to rein this in a little bit because people listening know what happened already. So let's go ahead and get into the matchups that have yet to occur. So kicking off with Sunday football, Titans at Colts. Marcus Mariota, after a decent performance last week against the Patriots, this may be the first time that you can consider playing him in your fantasy lineup. First time in a long time. The Colts defense is pretty good against the run, but somewhat are pretty weak against the pass. So Marcus Mariota is a decent streaming candidate this week. Derrick Henry, he's scored 4 touchdowns the last 3 games, finding pay dirt each week, but the usage just simply still isn't there. 12 carries, 6 carries, 11 carries. Last week, his 58 rushing yards was the highest of this season, and it was only on 11 carries. That's better than what he was getting when he was getting 18 carries. He's the guy who gets the ball on the goal line, and let's just Face it, the Titans are on the goal line very often. The other running back, though, Dion Lewis, this man's been getting the ball. 52 carries over the past 3 weeks with 12 catches. Only 1 touchdown in that span, but he's getting the work. Lucas, who would you rather play against the Colts this week, Derrick Henry or Dion Lewis?
That's tough. And I think I got to go Dion.
Dion?
Yeah, got to go Dion. Yeah.
Yep. Same here. I still don't believe in Henry. I certainly don't believe in the volume not being there. Let's talk about the wide receiver here. And when I say wide receiver, I mean just one, Corey Davis. He's been showing up for the past 2 weeks. 6 catches for 56 yards week 9 at Dallas, and then 7 for 125 and a touchdown last week against the Patriots. His ownership has certainly been rising, and for good reason. It was 66.3% last week, and it's up to 82.7% on ESPN. That said, Hoos, start sit Corey Davis against the Colts.
You got to start him. I mean, in a flex capacity, for sure. Yeah, you're starting him.
What about you, Lucas?
He's startable. He is startable.
Wide receiver 2 or flex?
One or the other. I'd be more comfortable with him in my flex.
Right.
Okay. You would rank him more there.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Moving to the Colts side of the ball. Andrew Luck has thrown at least 3 touchdowns in 6 straight weeks. Only 2 players in NFL history have longer single season streaks. The Titans allow the fewest points per drive, but Luck is a great fantasy quarterback. Once again, you got to roll him out there.
Oh, yeah.
Marlon Mack, tough matchup against the Jags last week. Only 12 carries for 29 yards against them. I like him more this week, but is he still a must start, Lucas?
I think that he is.
Yeah.
Just a down week?
I think it was a down week, and he could have salvaged it, but they allowed Ebron to get the rushing touchdown. So, what do you do?
Oh, that was great. T.Y. Hilton is still a guy you want to roll out there, in my opinion. Here we have, yet again, with these weekly questions. I feel like I ask you guys every single week because different things happen each week. Eric Ebron or Jack Doyle? Eric Ebron had 3 touchdowns last week, 2 receiving and 1 rushing. His red zone usage and efficiency is just great. He is actually on pace to beat Gronk's single-season touchdown record. 3 catches last week for Ebron, 3 last week for Doyle. Who would you rather have? Let's say this week and rest of season, Ebron or Doyle?
Standard Ebron, I guess. Doyle PPR.
All right. What about you, Lucas? It's Ebron in all formats for me.
I'm same. I want Ebron.
All right. Moving on to the next game. Buccaneers at Giants. Ryan Fitzpatrick, his 4th 400-plus yard passing game of the season, but no touchdowns last week. He also turned the ball over 3 times. Dirk Cutter said that Fitzpatrick will be the starter, but that by no means indicates that he won't get benched at halftime against the Giants. Start, sit, Fitzmagic against the Giants, Lucas.
Start him.
Start him.
Yeah, and that's a Giants fan telling you to start him.
Yeah,
he knows what his defense
400
is.
yards.
He gets it.
400 yards. Hey, they got slings.
Peyton Barber, double-digit carries the last 5 weeks, 13 for 61 last week. He's looked okay. Only 1 touchdown on the season. He's not an auto start, but Hoos, you're a big Peyton Barber fan. Would you rather play him or Nyheim Hines this week?
PPR, give me Hines.
What about you, Lucas?
I'm not starting either of them. Get out of here.
That's not the game.
Jaquiz Rogers.
Really?
Yes. He had 10 receptions last week.
Yes.
I guess he did.
Yes.
All right. Mike Evans is someone who you're going to start no matter what. He was amazing with Fitzpatrick the first 3 weeks. Chris Godwin, back to being great with Fitzpatrick. 7 catches, 103 yards last week, but he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. So that's something that you got to keep in mind, keep an eye on, which is too bad because it looks like he was really starting to break out. O.J. Howard, I think you got to keep rolling with him. Eli Manning, I'm going to get into him a little bit later, hint, hint. So I'm going to skip over to the other Giants. Saquon Barkley is a stud. Odell Beckham Jr. is a stud. We don't need to talk a whole lot about those guys. Sterling Shepard, only 2 catches for 9 yards last week, but he did catch the game-winning touchdown. Evan Engram did have more targets than Shepard in Week 10. Start, sit Shepard against the Bucs defense. He's a start for me.
Start him.
Start.
Evan Engram, the Bucs have allowed the 2nd most fantasy points to tight ends this season. I think he is a must-start against Tampa Bay this week. Still seeing him out there on waiver wires. If he is, guys, go pick him up because this is a juicy matchup for him.
Ooh, juicy.
Juicy.
Juicy fruit.
I think we need to take the drop of who's saying, "Oh, juicy," and put that at the beginning of every show.
No, don't do it
Before the song comes
please.
Oh
Ooh,
man, we oh man, I don't want to squeeze anybody out. Just at the start of you're like, hey, what was that?
Oh
it's
man,
some people might enjoy it.
the juicy mail sack.
Yeah. That's now I gotta
Mail
rank
sack
you.
is
Man.
always
Come on
juicy.
now. Let's get back.
Mail
Let's get
sack
back.
is always juicy.
Steelers at Jacksonville Jaguars. Ben Roethlisberger is a stud, but are you playing him on the road against Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, look at his road games this year. I mean, we've all been clowning, Ben Roethlisberger on the road. He sucks. And this year, I mean, that has not really been the case. He's been pretty good this year on the road. I mean, last game against Baltimore, he had 29 points, and against Cincinnati, he had 23, 29 against Tampa. Granted, it's Tampa. I mean, week 1, he only had 11 points, but he's been okay on the road. And Jacksonville has not been Jacksonville this year at all. So I'm fine with starting him.
Luck just threw 3 touchdowns against him. Yeah. I think he is an option, but not an auto start. So if you have, there's a lot of people out there with 2 quarterbacks, say they have Roethlisberger and Matt Ryan. Would you play Matt Ryan over Roethlisberger this week?
Yes.
I would as well.
I would not against Dallas.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I would not.
All right. Le'Veon Bell is officially done. He did not come in and sign that franchise tag, so James Conner owners can officially relax. He'll be a locked and loaded top 5 running back rest of season, probably the waiver wire pickup of the year, unless you drafted him, in which he is the best draft value of the year, hands down. He did go through concussion protocol this week, but he's been practicing in full, which is a good sign that he's going to be ready to go. Antonio Brown is a stud. Juju Smith-Schuster is a stud. These are guys who are in your lineup automatically. Vance Donald or Jesse James. Everybody got a piece last week. Who you like more, Lucas?
Vance Donald every week. I'm telling you.
McDonald.
He stole that guy's soul in Tampa. Put
So
him
you're
on the IR. And
going back to that
McDonald's.
one play.
And yes, he's been the guy.
I just traded away Njoku for Donald in one league. And I don't know how, I don't know how I feel about it.
That's a bit aggressive. That's a bit aggressive for me.
But I felt like it was right. I just felt it was right.
You say you traded in Njoku for McDonald?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Damn, not a fan of that.
That's faith, yeah.
Yep, that is faith. Let's move to the Jaguars side of the ball. Blake Bortles, you're most likely not playing this guy. Leonard Fournette got 2 total touchdowns on 24 carries last week, only 53 rushing yards, though. Look for him to get another huge workload, although the Steelers front has allowed the 7th fewest rushing yards in the NFL. Even then, you got to play Leonard Fournette. Is there any other Jaguar worth really talking about? I'll ask you guys our second weekly question. Dante Moncrief, Dede Westbrook, or Keelan Cole? Just give me a name.
Moncrief for me.
Moncrief.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Moncrief as well, even though I do like Dede the most. Let's move on. Carolina Panthers travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. Cam Newton, he has thrown at least 2 touchdowns every single game this season except for week 1. 17 passing touchdowns on the season, 4 rushing touchdowns. He's still giving you a safe rushing floor, 352 rushing yards in the season. You got to play this guy each week still. He's been getting it done. Christian McCaffrey, 3 touchdowns last week in that blowout loss to the Steelers. Still a stud. Still got to play him. Who do you like more? Devin Funchess or DJ Moore rest of season?
Funchess.
Lucas?
I'm Funchess also. DJ Moore is going to be in spurts, but that's about it.
What about this week against the Lions?
Yeah, I'm going Funchess because really to me it's McCaffrey, then Olsen, then Funchess, and whoever else.
Yeah, I agree with that take.
Yeah, even though Funchess has really been bad the past few games, I still think that he's it's as far as the pecking order, exactly what Lucas said.
Who's got a higher ceiling, Funchess or Moore?
I'm going to say Moore there because he can break off big plays.
Yeah.
Funchess has never really been that guy.
Yeah.
But Funchess has 60 targets on the season, and Moore has 61, and Samuel has 16. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yep. Let's move on. Greg Olsen, only 4 catches for 40 yards last week, but the Steelers were great on defense in every aspect of the game, aside from covering Christian McCaffrey. Like, you know what? We're going to cover the other 10 guys. You still got to roll him out there, though. Greg Olsen, that is. Matthew Stafford, hopefully we get a bounce back from him. Only 16 touchdowns on the season, 2,385 yards. This is not the Matthew Stafford that we're used to seeing. He's only thrown for 300 yards 3 times this weekend. Do you start or sit Stafford against the Panthers? I vote start since he's at home and without Darius Slay, so he'll have to throw hopefully. But we are not used to seeing him not throw the ball. So, Lucas, start, sit Matthew Stafford.
I'm pretty sure that there's better options out there, or that at this point you've picked up a better option. So start him if you absolutely have to. I'm finding a better option, though.
Can he be dropped?
Yeah. He does have a pretty easy – he has some easy games coming up, though.
I wouldn't drop him. I mean, you got to look at his weeks from week 4 all the way up to – I mean, most of these games, these are tough defenses, aside from Green Bay. But Miami hasn't been bad. Seattle hasn't been as bad this year. Minnesota hasn't been as bad this year as they've been started. In Chicago, which has been Chicago. I mean, I don't know. Carolina is another team, and then he's got Chicago. He's got the Rams, and then I think his playoff schedule isn't too bad. Week 14 against Arizona and Week 15 against Buffalo. But he's had a tough schedule all year.
Yeah, sounds brutal.
He had a tough schedule all year. But I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think you could start him this week if you have to. I wouldn't want to, but in 2 quarterback, obviously.
Let me ask you this. If you saw Matthew Stafford on waivers, are you picking him up immediately?
No.
I think I would, just because if he blows up, I think people would start to believe again, and then he might be a little bit of trade bait.
If your trade deadline has not passed yet.
No, mine hasn't. I mean,
all right.
Yeah, I mean, almost all of mine have, and the ones that haven't are this Saturday. So.
Yep. Yeah, well, maybe you'll have a week's trade deadline for those of you listening. But Matthew Stafford, not excited about him, but. I'm going to ask another question about him a little bit later, so we'll get back to it. Kerryon Johnson still looks pretty good. Marvin Jones or Kenny Golladay, guys. Marvin Jones had that bone bruise on his knee. He did not practice on Thursday, but I'm leaning towards him playing. Kenny Golladay was 6 for 78 last week against Chicago. Is he the man to own, or is Jones the more consistent player?
Right now, Jones isn't healthy, so you got to go with Golladay and maybe even some Riddick. They've been using Kerryon in the passing game as well, which has been nice. So I think that's where we're going to see go forward.
Lucas, give me some quick thoughts on TJ Jones if Marvin Jones misses this week. Is he automatically playable?
Garbage.
No, I'm not running out to grab him. I would rather go pick up somebody like Reynolds or trying to think of who else might be it. Reynolds or Moncrief would be 2 guys that I would go target way before TJ Jones that are probably available to play.
You guys aren't making me feel good about my Pro-Am this week.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, man.
I've got both Marvin Jones and TJ Jones on. I picked up TJ Jones because I was thinking Marvin might be out, but also I have Josh Gordon and Danny Amendola on a bye. Quincy Enunwa on a bye. So my wide receivers are shot. So I was able to get Traquan Smith.
Yeah,
I'm not comfortable about him either.
Yeah, I'm not either, man. I'm not happy about this situation. Don't get me wrong. Would you play John Ross or TJ Jones?
John Ross.
Okay, I might make that switch. Anyways, enough of our teams, or I guess my team. Let's move on. Lucas's team, Cowboys at Falcons. Dak Prescott, I like him as a streaming option this week. I think we are going to get into him a little bit while later, so I will just leave it as that. Ezekiel Elliott is an absolute stud. Did you guys see that hurdle he did last week?
Oh, man.
Yes.
That guy is such a
beast. Only he had gotten in the end zone.
I know.
It's like his legs just failed him after the hurdle. They just gave out.
But he took like 8 steps at least before I think he just must have tripped, or his top momentum was just falling too far forward. But the other guy was like damn near standing straight up.
Yeah. we're getting a little bit spoiled with these hurdles because there's almost multiple every single week now. Zeke did it.
So
I'm pretty sure Kamara did
every
it.
week. Yep.
And
tight ends are doing it.
There might have been
everyone's doing it
this last weekend.
Yeah.
This wasn't a thing 3 seasons ago.
I saw Mike Gesicki do it. It was like a week or two ago.
Yeah, he did.
Gurley's busting some out. I'm pretty sure I've seen Hunt do it.
Yeah.
Eli's going to do it this week.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't know about that one.
That's fairy tale stuff.
That's never happening.
No, I think it was last season. You know how we do the Stranger Stats episode? Eli Manning had negative rushing yards on the season.
Yeah, that was interesting.
-9, which is ridiculous. Anyways, Amari Cooper, he looks like Dak Prescott's go-to guy. 11 catches over the last 2 weeks, 6 for 75 last week. He has 6 red zone targets in his 2 games with the Cowboys. That is huge. And Prescott overthrew him twice on what would have potentially been touchdowns last week. The Falcons give up a lot through the air, so I think he is a solid wide receiver to play this week. I do like Amari Cooper. Lucas, is there any other Cowboy worth talking about?
No.
All right, short and sweet. Love it.
Not for fantasy purposes.
Not for fantasy. Absolutely. Matt Ryan, you gotta love this guy. He's been playing great. Julio Jones, guys, we have 2 consecutive weeks with a Julio Jones touchdown.
Oh my God, this is
this
is a dream. Pinch me, please. Oh man, it's real. Man. It's I can't believe this is why you hang on to stud players. You don't trade them, for just whatever. You hang on to your Julios.
You do.
Julios are good. They're,
It's also 2 straight weeks with 7 catches and 100+ yards. He's eclipsed that 100-yard mark 6 times this season, and he has yet to have fewer than 5 catches or fewer than 62 yards. In fact, he doesn't have any dud games this season. Every game has been double digits, including his down games of 5 for 64 and 5 for 62. That's not what you want from Julio. That's still not a dud game. I mentioned plenty of times in preseason how he is basically a guaranteed 1,400+ yards, so don't worry about the lack of touchdowns. He's on pace to shatter 1,400 yards with 7 games left in the season, guys. Julio Jones is a lot of fun to watch this year.
Oh, yeah. Glad I got him on so many of my teams.
Yep. I guess I didn't really need to pause there, but Evan's waiting for Lucas to disagree.
Nope, I'm just going to let you have it.
All right, guys, Calvin Ridley or Mohamed Sanu this week. And would you pick a guy first if you had to play one?
It's Ridley for me.
Same here?
Yeah, it's going to be Ridley.
All right, so then start, sit Ridley. This is a different question.
You might need him.
In the flex, I'm starting him.
Yeah, start him. Start up Ridley.
Austin Hooper has been doing his Austin Hooper thing. He'll have a great game or 2 and then disappear. However, at this weak tight end position, he is still a top 10 tight end. There isn't anyone on waivers worth streaming over him, so you got to roll him out there. Moving on, the Cincinnati Bengals play a divisional game against and at the Baltimore Ravens. Sit all Bengals against the Ravens except for Joe Mixon and maybe Tyler Boyd out of necessity. You can't play Andy Dalton. Tyler Boyd is not a must start unless you're dealing with bye-week hell right now, like, for instance, I am and the Pro am. Ravens side of the ball, Joe Flacco has a hip injury right now. His status for Sunday is in doubt. Guys, that means we may see Lamar Jackson get his first NFL start. That rushing floor of his looks pretty safe. Lucas, is he a streaming option for you this week if Flacco is out?
No, not for me.
All right, what about you, Hughes?
No, I can't get behind that. And 2 quarterback, sure.
All right. Alex Collins scored a touchdown each of the last 2 weeks. He's got 6 on the season. He's certainly a touchdown-dependent player, though. He's only had more than 12 carries twice this season. Buck Allen, on the other hand, I think he can safely be dropped at this point. I mean, he's not doing anything, and Ty Montgomery is there basically filling the same role. As far as the wide receivers go, Michael Crabtree, John Brown, and Willie Snead. I know we like John Brown a lot each week on this show. Start, sit Crabtree, who's?
You got to start him.
Okay. What about Willie Snead?
You got to sit him.
What about you, Lucas?
I'm sitting every Ravens wide receiver.
Including John Brown.
Absolutely. We don't even know who's going to be throwing to him. And John Brown
could be
in a standard league.
Probably going to be Bobby 3 sacks.
Yeah.
It could be Robert Griffin III.
John Brown
it's going to be Robert Griffin.
John Brown had 15 yards last week and 28 the week before that, or, in the 2 games prior to their bye. I'm not feeling good whatsoever. We have no clue which quarterback's going to be starting right now, and we have no clue which one of the wide receivers is going to have a rapport with either of those QBs. So for me, I'm not willing to risk it. Alex Collins is the only player I'm comfortable starting on that side of the ball.
Willie Snead, the GOAT. Heard it here. Houston Texans at the Washington Redskins. Deshaun Watson, I think you want to play him this week. The Redskins just gave up 400 passing yards to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Deshaun Watson is certainly better than him. Lamar Miller, I think he's a pretty safe play. The Redskins are allowing the 6th most yards to opposing backfields. You may not get the 18 carries, 133 yards, and a touchdown again, but I think an RB2 finish is pretty likely in my opinion. What about you guys?
Against Washington, I guess. Yeah, sure. I can agree with that.
The volume's there, but I don't really want to use him.
I mean, I think you still got to start him.
You asked us a question before the show that involved Lamar Miller, right? Why don't you ask that again? See if you talk yourself out of it now.
What was the question here, Hoos?
My question?
No, it was yours, Lucas. You said something about Lamar Miller, right? You wanted to
No. This is Miller for the Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, these were all wide receivers. Yeah, it was Dante Moncrief, Sutton, Anthony Miller.
Oh, okay. You didn't specify that.
Yeah, it was four wide receivers. I needed 2 of them for flexes.
Gotcha. Well, never mind. Let's move on here. DeAndre Hopkins is a stud. Got to play him. Kiki Cutie or Demaryius Thomas, Hoos, if Cutie is back, that is.
Kiki. No, you're gonna use Thomas. I think they want to use him quite a bit, and I think they didn't use him quite a bit. But
I think you roll DT as well.
Yeah, you're gonna go DT.
I'm DT until we know Kiki is fully healthy. When Kiki's fully healthy, he'll outproduce DT.
All right, Adrian Peterson, start sit. The Texans do have a good rushing defense.
Start.
I don't see how you bench him.
Yeah, start him.
Jordan Reed may be the only other Redskin worth talking about. I'm not a big fan of his this season. I don't think anybody really is, but we have some big tight ends on a bye this week. I've got a league where I'm starting Reed out of necessity since Kittle's on a bye. We're also missing David Njoku, Rob Gronkowski, Chris Herndon, even though you were maybe playing Reed over him anyway, but we do have some good tight ends on a bye this week, so he might be a necessity. Let's move on. Oakland Raiders at Arizona Cardinals. This one's got the lowest predicted score of the week. I think this one's got the potential to be high scoring, though, because the defense is just not there. That said, I do not want any part of the Raiders except for maybe Jalen Richard and Jared Cook, and even then I'm iffy. Jordy Nelson could miss this week. Guys, is there anyone on the Raiders that you're interested in playing aside from Richard and Cook, who has been bad recently?
No, and one thing I will say previously for the Skins, I'm not starting Reed. I would rather start pretty much all of our streamer options that we're going to talk about later. And the one guy I would mention is Harris if you need a flex play. He's been a go-to for Alex Smith. But as far as the Raiders go, no, there's no one I'm happy to play there. Yeah. Aside from the 2 you mentioned.
No, same seas with you, Chris.
Samesies. Love it.
Yeah, same seas.
Guys, when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald, I think he's in line for a big game against the Raiders.
Christian
Kirk, yeah, dude, I really want to see him.
We need it
this week.
We need you, buddy.
This week, yeah.
Christian Kirk disappointed me last week, but he's always got the potential to hit a home run for you. And of course, David Johnson, absolutely great last week. 183 total yards, 21 carries for 98 and a touchdown on the ground, 7 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown through the air. Byron Leftwich knows how to use David Johnson, and it is about damn time. Oakland's defense is terrible. Guys, I look for David Johnson to be a top 5 running back again.
Ooh.
That's strong.
And with an offensive coordinator who knows how to use him.
That's Americano.
I didn't say I couldn't get behind it. I just said
like
it was
an Americano.
It's strong
like an Americano. Yes.
Not a hot take, but a strong take.
Yeah. I can see it. I would say top 10. I feel more comfortable with top 10.
Who's going to be in your top 5 that you would put ahead of him? Obviously, like I think Gurley, Melvin, Kamara.
I'd probably put Hunt over him as well.
You'd put Hunt over David Johnson?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that offense.
Man, that's a tough call.
Going
that
against
offense.
the Rams,
Come on.
the Rams run defense.
We've seen more just games. I mean, he's got Oakland week 13, Baltimore week 14. You know, but you got Chargers haven't been that great this year, and then Seattle in the playoffs.
Okay. All right.
I like
just right there.
I like Mr. Hunt.
He's on that cusp. He's on that cusp.
He's close.
But you know, McCaffrey's coming off a couple of really big games, so we can't forget about him.
Yep.
All right, let's say top 7.
Yeah, top 7.
I'm comfortable with that.
There.
I'm comfortable with that.
All right. Yeah. Guys, let's move on here. Broncos at Chargers, another division game. Phillip Lindsay has had 35 carries in the past 2 games, 18 against Kansas City in week 8, 17 against Houston in week 9, 155 total rushing yards and a touchdown as well. I think he's a solid flex against the Chargers. Emmanuel Sanders, I like him this week. Cortland Sutton was a pretty big bummer of a game in week 9 in his first game without Demaryius Thomas. Only 3 catches for 57 yards. Does he get more than 8.7 PPR points this week, Hoos?
I'm going to say yes.
What about you, Lucas? Start, sit Cortland Sutton.
I want him to do well, so I'm going to say start. My one caveat for this is that he's likely to see a lot of Casey Hayward, who really has the ability to shut down players without DT being there, and he doesn't really cover players out of the slot. So Sanders doesn't have to worry about him. Sutton's really going to be the guy that has to. Hopefully Sutton doesn't see too much of him.
Let's move to the Chargers side of the ball. Phillip Rivers, I think you got to play him against the Broncos, especially when he's at home. Melvin Gordon is one of my personal favorite fantasy football players. Just having a stud season. He got 11 touchdowns, 672 rushing yards, and 371 receiving yards. This guy is just a beast for you. Keenan Allen, 2 great weeks in a row. It looks like he's back, even though his second-round price seems disappointing for how he performed so far. He's still on pace for 94 catches and 1,200 yards. Roll him out there with confidence, right?
Oh, yeah, you got to.
Yeah. And real quick, if you had to play one, who's Tyrell Williams or Mike Williams?
Tyrell Williams or Mike Williams? I think you got to roll with Tyrell.
I'd bust out the first-round draft pick of 2017, Mr. Mike Williams.
Okay. So you think after the bye they
Oh, yeah. I think they're going back to what we saw at the beginning of the season where Mike Williams was balling out, being what we thought he was going to be, and then he just disappeared. So I think they get back to it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Mike Williams as well. All right, let's move to the last afternoon game here. Eagles at Saints. Guys, this is going to be a fun one. Carson Wentz, he's a must-play against New Orleans this week. Another gross question here. I feel like we ask this one weekly. Wendell Smallwood, Corey Clement, or Josh Allen? Personally, I like Clement the most this week, but like I said, this is a pretty gross question. Who do you guys like the most out of that bunch?
I'll let you take this one first. And I think it's Josh Adams. I think it's Josh Adams, by the way.
Yeah, I got to go with
Josh Adams. That is right. Adams.
Got to go with Adams.
Yeah, so if you are looking for a running back to play for Philly, do not put Josh Allen into your lineup.
Please do not.
No,
go snag.
I don't think they'll be allowed to.
You don't think he has dual positions on his the quarterback running back combo?
No.
Oh. No. All right. Alshon Jeffrey, I love him this week. Golden Tate, he had a down first week with the new team, but once again, I love Golden Tate. I love him this week. Hopefully, I'm correct on that. Zach Ertz is a stud. You must play him. He's the best tight end in the league. How do you feel about Golden Tate?
I want to see it. I want to see it from him in that offense. I don't like even when new players go to a new team. Period. I want to see them do well. Usually their second season, they do better. But I don't know. I just don't see room for him to be Golden Tate.
Yeah, he probably won't be what he was in Detroit, but I think he's going to have more opportunities for touchdowns, which I like.
See, I'm not sure. Dallas Goedert, Ertz, 14 running backs there. Matthews and Aguilar clearly are not going away.
Goddard's done.
Look,
Ertz
you're talking about
Tate there. No, he's not getting anything.
If he's open.
Yeah, I almost put him as my tight end streamer wire, and then I thought about it, and I was like, there's no way he's getting targets.
Tate wasn't getting red zone targets in Detroit. What makes you think that he's going to get them here where they have even more receiving options and a tight end that eats in the red zone?
Better offense, better quarterback, worse running backs.
Yeah, I mean, Ertz and Jeffrey are tight end thieves. I mean, red zone thieves here.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you. I like this offense as a whole.
Me too. I just don't see where Tate fits into it. This didn't seem like a very good landing spot for him.
I love it. Anyways, we've debated this for a couple weeks in a row now.
And until we see something, it'll keep going.
Yeah, I know. Let's move to the Saints here. Drew Brees is a must start at home. Alvin Kamara is a stud. Mark Ingram is a stud. Michael Thomas is a stud. He is the wide receiver 3 on the season, but the top 3 wide receivers are only separated by 3.7 points, and this is in a PPR league. Thielen has 214.7. Tyreek Hill has 212.2, and Michael Thomas has 211. And also keep in mind that Tyreek Hill hasn't had his bye week yet either, so he has had one more game than both Adam Thielen and Michael Thomas. Thomas is just a beast. That's why I want him in that trade with Kerryon Johnson. Traquan Smith, guys, this is going to be a high-scoring game. I got him for $3 in my Pro-Am league after someone dropped him. That's good, right?
Oh, man. That's quite the steal.
I mean,
yeah, I thought
theoretically, it seems like it is, but he's not doing anything. He's been there. They haven't had any other wide receivers that have been relevant whatsoever. Ted Ginn's been down. Cam Meredith has been down. Like, Smith has had plenty of time to make an impact, and he just hasn't. They're not focusing on him. They're not using him. I don't know that he's going to be usable all season long.
All right. So, like I said, my options are T.J. Jones and John Ross.
John Ross.
Yeah, I think he did fantastic there.
Do you still play John Ross over Traquan Smith?
I would play Ross over them, though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, that wraps it up for everything except the last 2 games of the week. We are ending this week with 2 fantastic matchups. Let me kick this over to Lucas, Mr. Primetime himself, to take us through the Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football games. Lucas, take it away.
I'm excited for this. They switched around the scheduling here and changed the Vikings at the Bears from an earlier game to a later game so that we could see this division rivalry in prime time. We're still rolling out the Vikings with confidence. I'm tampering my expectations because it is against Chicago, but we did see Detroit be able to move the ball against Chicago later in that game. Kirk Cousins, probably playing him. Thielen's a stud. Diggs is a stud. Kind of monitor the health there, but we think he's a good to go. Dalvin Cook is finally good to go. I am ready to let this guy rock and roll. I have him in a couple lineups. I am ready to unleash him. Rudolph, don't know why he has not been the focal point at all at any point in the season for this team. I don't know if it's something's off between him and Kirk. I would like to see them get more involved because we know that Rudolph is a really good, he's an average plus NFL tight end.
Yeah, he's just, 2 seasons removed from being the number 2 overall.
Right. So do we see him picking it up the rest of the year? Do you think that this continues to go this way?
I don't know. This feels like one of those players who I really, really like and keep playing despite him letting me down, which was Sammy Watkins for like 4 straight seasons.
So here's a question for you, for both of you guys. How do you see the touch breakdown between Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray going this week?
70-30 Cook. If Cook's a full go, he's getting the vast majority of the work.
Okay, so if you had the option between, let's say, Cook and Phillip Lindsay, who would you roll this week?
I'd go Cook.
Cook.
Okay, all right, love it. Anyone else we need to talk about on that side of the ball?
It sounds like Lucas has a decision to make between Cook and Lindsay.
Well, I'm really playing both of them in all the leagues that I have them. But
yeah, for those of you listening, this is just a platform for us to talk about our own teams.
That's it. That is all. And you guys can, listen in and, feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah, welcome to our start-sit conversation.
Yeah, there you go. But I feel like these are pretty relevant for a lot of people out there that may have similar questions to this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So no one else we need to talk about. Would you play the Vikings defense or would you play the Bears defense? Are you still rolling both of them out there this week?
I think you have to. I do think both teams are going to be able to put up points, but either one of these defenses can score a touchdown any given week.
So let me ask you this. Would you start the Cardinals defense or the Steelers defense, either of those, as opposed to one of these 2 defenses if you have them this week?
No, but I just like the potential for sacks and 4 touchdowns here. I do think you could potentially get low scores if you don't get touchdowns, but I think the sacks are going to be there, and I think the turnovers are going to be there, even though there's going to be a lot of points scored.
All right, let's move on to the other side of the ball here, the Bears side of the ball. Mitch Trubisky, he's been balling out recently. We didn't like him early in the season for good reason. Took him a little while, hit the Tampa game, got his confidence up. He's been looking pretty good, and Matt Nagy just knows how to work around Trubisky's flaws is what it looks like. Trubisky's the number 2 quarterback running this year, which has been phenomenal. That's given you a really nice floor. What do you guys think? Is he worth a start?
And Nagy's a great coach.
He is.
Yeah. Trubisky, I think you got to play him at this point. He's been great.
Yeah. He's been top 12.
Yeah.
All right.
He's looking like that trade the Bears made that we all thought could have potentially have been terrible was okay.
It's paying off. Yeah.
And they gave up so much to move up one spot in the draft to draft a guy who was going to be there at their pick. But you know what?
Don't ask me.
Yeah.
Okay. They wanted to be able to sleep at night, so that was the decision that they
got their guy.
made.
They were dreaming about
running backs here. Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen this week.
Give me Cohen.
Okay, I think I'm Cohen here also. Give me Howard. I'm still Howard rest of season.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I am Howard rest of season. Allen Robinson or Anthony Miller?
Give me A-Rob.
Yeah, give me Allen Robinson.
But this is closer than it should be.
Okay, I'm there with you. I am absolutely there with you. Allen Robinson is the number 1 there. Miller's coming into his own, though. So I'm looking to see a shootout here between the two of those. Anyone else we need to talk about on that side of the ball? Trey Burton, have any confidence in him whatsoever?
I mean, I still think you got to play him, but I'm not excited about it. You're hoping for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that with every single player.
Yeah, tight ends
you're hoping for a touchdown.
Yeah, you're hoping for a touchdown. Wait, what player? Any player. You're hoping for a touchdown.
You are hoping for a touchdown. That's good to know, though. Anything else we need to talk about here, or should we move on to Monday night?
Let's get to the best game of the season.
This is going to be a phenomenal game. I am equally as excited for this game as I was Saints versus the Rams a couple weeks ago. I hope this is as good of a game as that was.
And also Vikings-Rams on Thursday Night Football. I was super excited for that one, and there were 9 passing touchdowns in that game.
Oh, my gosh. First play in the Seattle game.
And this one is going to be
Seattle
the best.
Fumbles the ball. Okay. Wow. Sorry. I just saw this happen. Green Bay just gets a turnover on the first play. All right. So, Chiefs-Rams, super high scoring. This game was supposed to be played in Mexico City, the one game out of the year that they were going to get there. The fields were absolutely trash. The players did not want to play there. Field manager there has to get fired after this, right? This was a huge deal for all of these fans.
Yes. They lost a ton of money.
That's right. They lost a ton.
Did you see pictures of the field?
Yes.
It looked terrible. It looks like like in The Dark Knight Rises when Bane interrupts that football game. That's what it looked like.
And you have one job. One job. Make sure this field is playable for this game. One of the best games the NFL is going to have all year. Yeah. I know that the players were pretty happy that this game was staying here. This was going to be a home game for the Rams in Mexico City. Instead, they get an actual home game on Monday night in LA. So they're super happy about that.
I mean, we were gonna have players boycotting in this amazing matchup. Players refusing to play due to field conditions.
That would have been awful. But you know what would have been worse? One of your players getting injured.
Absolutely.
That would have been extremely painful. So let's get into it here. A lot of fantasy relevance here this week. A lot of matchups will be decided on Monday night. Pat Mahomes is leading the NFL in passing yards with 3,150 of them. Am I reading this right? Does he have 31 touchdowns?
He has 31 touchdowns.
Is that real? That's absurd. Yeah. There's a lot of quarterbacks that won't get that many all season long.
Yep.
Kareem Hunt.
Beast.
He's the RB5. I put TE5 in the show notes. Let me fix that for you. The RB5 in PPR.
Okay. He's the running back 5 in PPR leagues with 754 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, and he leads all running backs in receiving touchdowns with 6. This guy is elite. You were ecstatic that you have him on your team. Nothing much else to be said there. Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver 2 on the season, tied with Devontae Adams for second in receiving touchdowns with 9, behind only Mr. Consistent, Iron Man himself, Antonio Brown, who has 10. He's 13th in receptions, 5th in receiving yards, 4th in rushing yards among wide receivers.
Among wide receivers, yeah.
As the gadget player.
Yeah, and I put this gadget player in quotes because I saw so many posts about, teams are just going to, they always figure out players like Tyreek Hill. I was like, no, they've never seen a player like Tyreek Hill.
You have not seen somebody that seems to run under a 4-second 40 because that's what he looks like when he's out on the field. We know that's an exaggeration, but the dude is fast.
Dude, he's almost like LaDainian Tomlinson at wide receiver. He's
right.
Amazing.
That's right. So we're moving over to the tight end position. Mr. Travis Kelce, Mr. Zeus, tight end number 2 on the season, only after Zach Ertz, who had that huge game last week. 57 catches, 787 yards, and 6 touchdowns on 86 targets for the season. The only dud he's had was in week 1. Since then, he's put up double-digit fantasy points every single week. He's going to win some leagues and definitely some weeks. Hopefully this week. I need him to have a big week. How about you guys? Any shares of Zeus?
I've got a few, but not many, just because, I don't know. For some reason, I thought he was going to regress.
I've got 3 or 4 shares of Ertz, but no shares of Kelce.
So wrong about that one.
All right. Sammy Watkins getting in a limited session on Thursday. It looks like he's likely to play, but it's a Monday night game, so you're not going to have any other options if, he stubs his big toe and can't play. Because this guy seems to go down often. How comfortable are you, and who would you play over him just to have the assurance of knowing you're going to have a healthy guy?
He doesn't seem to go down often. He does go down often. I would see if Josh Reynolds is available and pick him up. And if Watkins does not play Josh Reynolds.
Okay. All right.
Connolly?
Yeah, I like that. I mean,
right.
both quarterbacks could just throw 6 touchdowns this game.
Jared Goff. Let's switch to the other side of the ball. Jared Goff's the number 3 QB on the season. Is that right?
Man.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not lying. I don't put random numbers in here.
I know, but when you see these things
weird.
when you see these things on
Stranger
paper
stats.
and you hear it, you understand it, but it still just doesn't quite seem real based on the people that he'd have to be beating. He's third in passing touchdowns, second in passing yards. Go ahead, yeah.
No, sorry about that. I was just gonna say, like, if you look at his average, I think Ben averages more than him.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, but I think he is based off like bye weeks and stuff, and like.
Okay,
so
I got you.
In that way.
He's a must play against the Chiefs. If he can't throw 5 touchdowns if he can throw 5 touchdowns against the Vikings, he has to be able to throw 8 against the Chiefs. Is that what we're thinking?
Jared Goff is breaking the single game passing touchdown record this week.
Maybe not quite as much without Cooper
and
Kupp
you know
there.
what? Pat Mahomes may break it too.
Yeah, this should. I hope they don't let us down. I hope this is just 100-point total game here, 50-50. It ties, goes into overtime.
Oh man, that's gonna be deadly for someone.
Todd Gurley, the number 1 overall fantasy scorer through 10 weeks, the undisputed back-to-back running back 1 so far, and it's looking like he's got a good lead on everybody else here. He has 988 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns, 40 catches for 402 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air. This guy's on pace for 2,224 total yards from scrimmage, which would be the 20th most all-time for a single season. This guy is a monster. Monster.
Yeah, he's just insane. I mean, he's averaging more points than Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Kamara, Luck, Roethlisberger.
That's right.
He's only behind Mahomes.
That's right. Insane. The only other players who have eclipsed 2,200 yards since 2010 are Adrian Peterson, DeMarco Murray, Arian Foster, and Le'Veon Bell. Pretty good company. Robert Woods is the wide receiver 9 on the season with 55 catches, 832 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He also has 111 rushing yards, believe it or not, which leads all wide receivers outside of Cordero Patterson, who was a running back for the Patriots, as we all know. We're going to see a slight uptick for both Woods and Cooks because of Cooper Kupp going down. Maybe another target or two, but I don't expect much more than that on a weekly basis. Brandon Cooks is the wide receiver 10 on the season. He's got the 7th most receiving yards with 857 on 51 catches and 3 touchdowns. He's also got 6 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown. These Rams wide receivers get it done in all facets of the game.
Can I say something about Todd Gurley real quick?
What else is there to say? But yes.
The guy had 13 rushing touchdowns and 6 receiving touchdowns last season. He has 13 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns this season, and it's only 10 games so far.
It's absurd. 20 touchdowns. One player having 20 touchdowns.
Oh, he's got 17 right now. He's going to get 25.
But it's still just a crazy number. And then, maybe he gets 30. And he already gave one up by kneeling it on the 2-yard line against the Packers.
You know what? Let's call it 17 and a half.
Yeah, I think we should. That should count as a touchdown. This is bull. So, if you guys don't mind, take a moment of silence for Cooper Kupp. Okay. He tore his ACL.
Total.
This guy, it's rough. It's rough. Cooper Kupp has just been the guy. I wish him the best in a speedy recovery, as we all do. He's going to be sorely missed. We hope Reynolds will fill in, at least to 70% of what Cooper Kupp, which would be amazing if he was able to do that. He was still the wide receiver 18 on the season. The Rams in all likelihood would have finished the season with 3 in the top 15, which I'm not sure if that's ever been done before.
No way.
I'm not sure if a team has finished with 3 inside of the top 24, with 3 being at least all a wide receiver 2.
Yep.
So
they were definitely on pace for it.
Should be a great game. I don't think that there's anyone else that really needs mentioning here. So, Chris, what's flex on him?
It's amazing how Cooper Kupp missed 3 games and was still the wide receiver 18 going into this week.
But you look at that.
That's crazy. Right. So, yeah, this game is going to be a blast to watch. But let's go ahead and get into the flex those muscles. Lucas, Mr. Primetime, thank you so much for going through the Primetime games.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, guys, have a quarterback question for you. And I got 3 of them this time. For those of you listening for the first time, the Flex Those Muscles segment, it's this guy or this guy, just a one-word answer. Give me a name. First off, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, or Eli Manning?
Eli.
Prescott.
I hope you're right.
I'm taking Eli as well. Kerryon Johnson or Lamar Miller?
Kerryon.
I think I'm Kerryon as well. Marlon Mack or the combo of Tariq Cohen or Jordan Howard, whoever gets more?
Mack attack.
Combo.
You're taking Cohen/Howard, whoever gets more, over Mack?
Yep.
I think I'm going Mack as well. Phillip Lindsay or Jalen Richard? Let's say PPR.
Phillip Lindsay, for sure.
Lindsay.
Yeah, Lindsay for me. Alex Collins or Peyton Barber?
Collins going to have a big day.
Yep.
Big day, huh?
I'm calling it.
Corey Davis or DJ Moore?
Davis.
I agree with that one. Amari Cooper or Tyler Boyd?
Cooper.
I said I love Cooper earlier in the show. Guys, yeah, man, I shouldn't have put such easy ones in here. John Brown or Allen
We hope
Robinson?
they're easy. At the end
Allen Robinson.
I'm going to go Brown.
I'm going to go Brown, too. Robinson's probably going to get Xavier Rhodes.
Yep.
I just don't know who's throwing the ball to John Brown. Like I said
Doesn't
earlier,
matter.
It does matter because we don't know who they're going to key on. Josh McCown likes Robbie Anderson. Sam Darnold likes Quincy Enunwa. We don't know who's going to have the rapport.
All right. Traquan Smith or D.D. Westbrook?
Traquan. I'll take the game with the higher over-under.
Oh, that's brutal. Didi.
Yeah, I lean D.D. as well. Lastly, Larry Fitzgerald or Chris Godwin if he plays?
Yo, give me that Hall of Famer, Larry Fitz.
Godwin's.
I like Fitz against the Raiders. All right, last segment here, guys. Streamer Wire. We each have chosen one quarterback and one tight end who are mostly available in your leagues to stream this week. So I'm going to kick it off here with quarterback Eli Manning. He is only 14.5% owned. I know it is not a sexy pick to take Eli, but he did put up his first 3 touchdown game of the season against the 49ers last week. And this year he gets the Hoos. You want to say it? Juicy?
You get the juicy.
That juicy matchup against the Bucks, who allow the fourth most fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. I look for Odell and Shepard and Ingram and Barkley to all be involved in the passing game. I like Eli the most for streaming candidates this week. Lucas, your streaming quarterback.
So there wasn't a whole lot out there, but my streamer is Marcus Mariota, who's owned in about 40% of leagues. He's been very efficient since their bye 2 weeks ago. He's had 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, 37 of 53 throwing, which is a 70% completion rate. Not too shabby. Not too shabby there.
Who's your quarterback?
This is kind of disgusting for me to say as a Giants fan, but Dak Prescott. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott.
I love it.
Yeah.
As you know, he's got Atlanta. And I mean, he hasn't been bad for you as far as fantasy goes. He's been quite all right for you. I mean, he had 31 points against Jacksonville, 22 against Washington. You know, he had 18 against Tennessee, 22 against Philly. These are tough teams. You know, you got Atlanta. I think he's going to have close to, you know, I think he gives you at least 25 points this week.
Oh, yeah. I had Eli first, and then I switched to Dak, and then I switched back to Eli. Love Dak this week.
Yeah.
Hoos, let's do a snake here. Kick it off with tight ends. Let's take it back the other way. And this is, for those of you listening, is a pretty gross decision for streaming tight ends.
It is very gross. And we were talking about this before the show. It's gross. Guys, I'm apologizing in advance. But Mark Andrews, Baltimore tight end there. I think he's got the most. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be, but I think out of the guys there, I think the team relies on him the most. So I think you can use him this week given the matchup. It's disgusting, you know. So I apologize in advance for having to tell you to stream someone so bad. But, you know, it could work out. It could work out.
Lucas, you're tight end here.
So, not a lot to choose from. I'm going to go with Hireman here. 10 of 11.
You want to give his team in case nobody knows who this guy is?
So, excuse me. Hireman. This guy plays for the Denver Broncos. He got 10 of 11 targets last week for 83 yards and a touchdown. He does have a tough matchup this week, but if Sutton ends up getting blanketed by Casey Hayward, it's going to be – and Keenum's looking for an option over the middle. Sanders is going to get his fair share, but there'll be enough to fall through to Hireman. I'm expecting – I'm going to say 4 receptions on 7 targets for 50 yards and a touchdown.
And my tight end of the week, Ricky Seals-Jones. Yes, guys, this is where we're at this week. Hireman, Seals-Jones, and Mark Andrews. RSJ is 22.7% owned, but he is third on the Cardinals in routes run, targets, and receptions since week 6. He's at fringe tight end 1 this week, but he could end up being a good play against that Raiders defense. Lucas, that's going to wrap up the show.
Oh, man.
All right.
It's getting closer and closer to sad time as we wrap up this show. It's getting closer.
Yes, it is. And guys, real quick before we sort of wrap up here, I want to give a huge, not really shout out, but let everybody know that for those of you in California who are having to evacuate your homes, this due to the fires, it's an absolutely horrible situation. Our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. We're hoping that everything gets taken care of, those fires get beaten as soon as possible. All right. You can also follow us on Twitter at SleeperWire Show. Lucas is on there at SleeperWire LBB. Hoos is on there at SleeperWire Hoos. And I am Prof_Chris SW. Follow us on the Sleeper app at SleeperWire LBB, Prophet Hoos, and Professor Chris. And also on the Fantasy Life app at Hoos the Prophet and Professor Chris. Lucas, Mr. Primetime, and Hoos, Mr. Prophet. Thanks for joining me this week. Everybody else, we will catch you in 2 weeks. We're not going to have a Thursday show next week due to Thanksgiving. Hope everybody who is listening has a great Thanksgiving, eat a ton of food, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks.
Have a good one.